She had a place prepared of God that she should be fed 1,260 days. Guys, what I thought I would do in this video is the place I'm staying. I've had a lot of comments, a lot of interest in the place I'm staying and, things like that. So what I thought I'd do, I'll give you a full tour. And not only do I want to just show you the place, of course, it's very interesting. It's extraordinary when you will see the space and how it relates to the book of Revelation and the prophecy, okay? That's the purpose of this video. We always want to give glory to the Lamb. It's not because, I'm anything special. I'm a smart person. I can do this. It is the message, okay? So the message we're conveying on this channel with all that we're saying, it is to teach you. Okay, and so it's very helpful for us to physically see the things that we're teaching versus me just reading the Bible. Okay, so I'm extraordinarily blessed. Sometimes I laugh, guys, like, how the big ministers and everything, they ask for lots of money and they say things like, oh, I have to have a TV studio and we have a new TV, so we need money, so you have to donate and God will bless you. Well, keep in mind, I'll show you later in the video, I basically live out of a military duffel bag. So, how can I have a TV studio? Yet it's provided to me. That's what you're seeing in all the videos. It's just like a studio, TV studio, to where I can show you props. I can show you spaces like this. I didn't build anything. I didn't do any of this. It was here. This is the place I'm staying. So as I showed you before, it says, the Lamb that's in the midst or the middle of the throne, he shall feed them. So that's this space here. It's called, we'll see that many of the spaces that we'll show you, they relate to the temple, of course, okay? And let me just show you a couple views. So this is the view you can see, looking out. And I'm going to show you the other view. So I'm going to put the camera where I'm standing, and so you can look up at the house. And then we'll do a full tour. At the end of it, we're going to go through the book of Revelation and point out all the spaces, all the props on the whole book of Revelation. We'll summarize it real quick. In this view, what you can see is the two different eras of time in the construction. You can see the lower level here, and you see this old construction, right? And then, of course, next to that over there, might be able to see in the view, that's the space. The space is open, okay? And then what you'll notice is that the layer above, in the house above, of course, is built later. It's a later construction. Now, I just want to tell you a quick story about this place, and then we'll continue the tour and show it to you. So, the place and village where I'm staying, it means something to the effect of like old man or priest or something to that effect. And so what you're looking at here is a house, okay? I do call it a cave, and there's a reason for a cave. I'll show you why I do call it a cave. I do believe it's a cave, all right? But you can see in this construction here, this is an old priest house, okay? It's an old priest house and chamber that is right next to the church, all right? It's amazing, extraordinary. So this is I don't know exactly, approximately, guys, 300 to 400 year old construction was what you're looking at right here. So there were priests. It was like a priest village here, okay? And there was a little church. We'll show you the little church. Think of the little church like in the Greek language when you say the church, and naos, okay, that's the church, but it's the same word we read for temple. When we look at the book of Revelation, right? So that's this layer here, okay? Then all the priests, they left the village, they went to a different monastery, and when they met to a different monastery, they left the homes, and families moved in. And so after when families moved in, they passed on for generation, and then when the family moved in here, they rebuilt this upper section of the house, I believe in the 50s approximately. But either way, the house, nobody's lived in this house since like the 70s, I believe. Okay, so no one has been here. I'm going to show you what the place looked like when I first got here to get all the cleaning and everything. So I want you to consider that, okay, of what this is. Okay, so you got, old, new. Now you'll see in the upstairs, it's very nice. Probably most of you would live upstairs. But this idea that okay, priests live here, they're next to the temple, it's like this cave, it's just amazing. It's extraordinary. So that's where I spend, most of the time. So what you can see here is these are the stairs that go up to the second level. And on that second level, it's the street view, and then you can see the church. We'll show you that in a minute. What I thought I would do first is talk about this lower level, this ancient house, okay, with a lot of the old ancient things are still there. I shared them with the video, the wine press, the net. There's lots of things I don't even really know what they are, okay? But let's take a look at the lower level and give you a tour of that. Okay, so here, as we look at the lower level, you see this window. This is the kitchen. Okay, so the sink is here. And then we go inside, and this is the kitchen. Okay, so this is the kitchen. Many of you, I have a quick story about this. We'll talk about this in a minute. But yes, I have a portable solar panel and a battery. Okay, so in this kitchen, there's the window that you could see outside. Many of you ask me, Leland, are you okay? Is everything fine? Guys, I'm fine. Look at this. I'm totally stocked up. I have everything I need. Everything stocked up for many weeks. Okay. So what we did is we upgraded some things. We got a new fridge. Okay. We got a freezer to it. This is our heater. Okay. We also have a propane or kerosene heater. This is kerosene, not gas, kerosene. Okay. So yeah, it's fantastic. Gas stove. This is the old house, guys. This is the old kitchen, and we just set it up for, our small kitchen. So this is the kitchen. And what this is, this leads out, okay, to the space that you always see me in. So to me, this is the space, that is like, this space here is like the living room, okay? So what you see here in the living room, and the majority of the time, yeah, I mean, it's very nice. It's very comfortable, even on a day like this. It's very nice. And so we're going to talk about this space here. We told you before, this is the inner court. That's where the altar will go. We'll do a whole demonstration on everything. But then let me show you this, okay? Now this door, as you can see, is the door you see in the back of all the videos. We set up a cross here, and then this door leads into the cave, okay? But I want you to notice something, that in this door, you could see you have a blanket there, right? So I realized this kind of after the fact, but these doors, of course, are very old. They have holes in them and everything. And so in order to insulate it, I put a blanket up there. And then I realized after the fact that in the first temple that Solomon built, there were doors into the Holy of Holies, and there was a veil. There was actually both, if you read the scriptures. So I was like, oh, that's amazing. This is like, like a going into the Holy of Holies in our temple space. But remember, another thing we're going to kind of consider is this whole space is actually like a chamber. In my Father's house, there are many mansions, many chambers, okay? And that the temple is his house, and we'll see that in a second. But notice this door, okay, here, and then it leads into the cave. All right. Now, I know I say, I live in a cave, and the people say, no, he doesn't really live in a cave, does he? Well, I think it is. I'll show you what I mean. So when we come in, we enter the door. All right, we got the blanket. We come in the door, the Holy of Holies. We got the veil, like the veil of the temple. All right, and then we enter what I call the cave. Okay, now why do I call this a cave? Well, if you look at the ground, okay, that's bedrock. That's the mountain. You're looking at the mountain. That's what the floor is. Okay, remember Christ said, build your house on the rock. This is the rock. This is the mountain. Okay. And of course, it's built with walls on either side. Okay. But you'll see that this is also the mountain beyond this wall. Okay. We'll show you where this goes up. But you can see the difference here. Again, you have the old construction. Okay. This is the old 300, 400-year-old house. And then you have the new construction where it was built on top. Okay, so you have the kind of old and new. So this is the cave, guys. I love this place. It is fantastic. There's lots of tools, lots of things that we can do to repair. There's kind of everything here. I even have like things like this, like I don't have like power tools. So like if I need to drill something, I literally do it by hand, which is, it's just great. I love it. It's so fantastic. So this is the cave. And I did show this in the video. This is a working wine press. Okay, you see the boots there? I'll show you the boots. So you would have the boots, you would go, you put the wine in, and then it would come out here. Okay, so that is the great wine press. And you see this bag, this military bag, this is everything I live out of. So all I carry is in that, I can put in that bag in my carry-on. That's it. Okay, so how did I do all this? It has to be the Most High. He has to lead me to teach you, okay? And also the net. I showed you the net in the parable in Matthew 13. The kingdom of heaven is like, the fish of the sea, and you cast the net, okay? So there's the net there. This is the sleeping accommodation, the sleeping bag. It's fantastic. I'm not cold, guys. It's great. So inside, this is my little music studio, okay? Speaker. Any of you guitarists out there, this is the new Eventide. It's called Black Hole. It's amazing. I encourage you to get it. Also, some of you guys that are interested in the music stuff, I'll have another video where I demonstrate that. So this is inside, okay? And this is the blanket that was up that I showed you before, okay? And guys, there's so many interesting things here I couldn't even begin. This is like things you would put, like bread. You would knead bread and they would go in this. I don't even know how that stuff works. It's amazing. The things in here are so amazing. I can't even begin to say. Okay, so there's, everything. What I'm trying to say is everything is here. I don't need anything. Everything is here. Everything is perfect, guys. We also have heaters in here, kerosene heater. I also can cook in this space if need be. But because it's in, this is what I'm saying. It is a cave, guys. This is thermal heated. So this is a warm room, okay? It's like the temperature you're in the earth. It's thermal heated, okay? So you got the floor above insulating. The wind does not blow into here, okay? Because it's back. So it stays at a decent temperature. Now it does get below freezing outside, but it's not below freezing in here, guys. It's great. So I'm doing just fine. I love this place. I can't say that enough. It's so amazing. Okay, so there's also the instrument, the Chapman stick. We carry that as well. And so this is the space, guys. I mean, this is amazing, isn't it? This is the cave. Okay, so this is the cave. This is the room that you see back behind all the videos all the time, okay? So another thing I just want to point out is I also keep like a jug of water, okay? A couple of them, all right? So in remote places like this, it's common for them to shut off the water, it's common for them to shut off the electricity. And so you would just want to keep some water. I feel so sorry for the people in Texas. They can't even have, water. And then let's talk about the solar panel. Okay, back in the kitchen, here's the solar panel, and I have a funny story for you. So when the Illuminati said, okay, it's going to be a dark winter, I said, all right, in order to keep videos going, everything else, dark winter means no electricity. Okay, so I went online and ordered a solar panel. Okay, well, there was a big storm here, and we lost power for almost 3 days. And I had ordered the solar panel, and it didn't arrive yet. Okay, we were waiting for it. It was very close. But got this. You can get something like this. You should, as emergency. This can run my refrigerator. Okay, so we can connect that to the battery if you get good sun. There's a inverter here, which you can see. So that's a 1500, and that's enough to run your refrigerator. So at least your food doesn't thaw. Okay, you at least can do that to survive a little bit. It's not going to run the whole house, but you can run some lights. But I have a testimony of what happened in the village, okay, when we lost the power. All right, guys, quick testimony. First, I want you to see what the village looks like normally at night with the electricity and the power. So there you can see the lights, the street lights, the house lights, all the different lights in the villages, the village down below. There's probably about 20 to 30 households, okay, that are living in the village, all right? But look at all the lights. Look at what it normally looks like. Now I'm going to show you the same view. We have lights, okay? You can see there's a neighbor right there, no lights. You can see we have lights. Our lights are on, okay? There you can see the light is on, and then you can see in the village. Now we're looking the same view we looked before, and there's no lights. Nobody in the village has lights except for this house. There's another one at a far distance there. I'm not sure if it's a house or the street light, but the street lights are out. All the houses are out, with the exception of maybe one or two houses. So it's amazing testimony, guys. If we keep his commandments, we apply the blood of the Passover lamb to our house, the destroyer must pass over, okay? The judgments won't hit our house. They won't hit us. They have to pass over. Okay, so here again is a space that you see all the time. Now you know where the kitchen is. Okay, these are the stairs that lead upstairs. Okay. Okay, now once we arrive upstairs, now we're in the newer part of the house. So we'll do a quick tour here. We do have a lot of work going on, some construction. We just did a new bathroom. Okay, so we got a new bathroom. You can see here a nice shower. Okay, toilet and sink. Beautiful. Now what we had before was an outhouse. Okay, so this again is the view. And if you look over there, that's the old outhouse. Okay, so it did have a toilet in it, but now we have hot water. Okay, now this room, okay, you can see we do have some construction going on. Okay, we do have to do some repairs, but I want to show you this before picture of what this room looked like. Now, this is some footage before the cleanup of this room. So I know you might think that, well, the place needs a lot of work. Well, this is what it used to look like. I'm very sorry for the poor quality of the video, but this is what that room used to look like, okay? The roof leaked. There was lots of damage to virtually everything in this space. So it took a lot of cleanup to fix this. We did repair the roof. We have a new roof. We have a new bathroom. So it was a lot of work to deal with this mold problem, but we got it cleaned out. And finally, it's a nice, clean, safe space. Now, from there, we can go also inside the house here. And here's another room. This is another one. We had to, of course, do a lot of cleanup and everything. Now, of course, this is the newer house, the nicer house. Most of you will probably stay up here. This, goes outside. All right, so here's another little bedroom. And look, can you see that? Can't really see that well. If we look out the window, you see, there's the church right there. That's the church, Naos, the temples. So the room that we were in, where we called it the cave, is right below us. Okay? So you can see that outside, this is the bedrock. This is the mountain. Okay? The house is built into the mountain because that whole other level is below us. Okay? So it is a cave. So this is the front door. We can go out here. And here, now you can get a view. Okay. Now you can get a view of the little church. All right. So that's the little church. This is how the village started. Okay. And the priest lived around it. Okay, now you can see the whole layout of the place, okay, and how all the spaces have a message, okay? So the space we showed you before is called the porch of the pillars. That's the area where we're sitting. Actually, let's take a quick look. I'll just do this as a matter of view. Okay, so over here, we call this the porch of the pillars. You can see it has the pillars, and this is where it says the Lamb in the midst of the throne will feed them. It's the place in Ezekiel's temple where they will eat the meals, okay? The priests will eat the meals. This is the inner court, and this is the altar here, okay? So we're going to discuss the altar and all the prophecies related to that. And then you can see, of course, the rest of our stations. Okay, and now the space that you guys are used to seeing. Okay, here, we're going to demonstrate this in the book of Revelation. Now, guys, we also have another video where we show you how to walk by faith out of the Moses tabernacle. So what that means is that the things in the tabernacle, okay, they may seem silly or things like that, but if you go out into the wilderness, if you go out and you begin to walk by faith, these things are very, very significant to you. So I do have a whole video on how I carry in a backpack the temple, essentially, okay? I do have that whole video, and how to exercise your faith by doing these stations, okay? So once you do them, you begin to understand them. Once you're going to understand them, you understand the importance and significance of what Christ has done for us and what Christ is doing in the book of Revelation. So let's go to Revelation, and we get there, Revelation chapter 1. We're going to go through the stations and things throughout the book of Revelation. So now let's look at all the stations, okay, of the temple, all of those in the book of Revelation. So you can see that the book of Revelation is a temple service. Okay, we'll see very, very clearly that it's a temple service, and each step along the way are things transpiring in the temple of heaven. And that temple of heaven, okay, we also can see has design elements of Ezekiel's temple. Okay, so let's go first to Revelation chapter 1. Revelation chapter 1, let's go to verse 10. Verse 10, John hears a voice of a trumpet. Okay, now this voice of the trumpet would be the beginning of the temple service. The first thing you would do in the temple service, you would blow the trumpet. So there we have the trumpet. And then verse 11, saying, the voice of the trumpet said, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, what you see right in a book. And in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks was one like the Son of Man. So 7 golden candlesticks. It's not a candle, guys. It's not a candlestick like what you think, like in a Catholic church. These are menorahs. These are 7 menorahs, and one in the midst of the 7 menorahs, okay? He's standing in the midst, and you see his garments like a priest. So what's happening in the beginning of the temple service, after you blow the trumpet, the high priest would light the lamps of the menorah. Okay, so this is the lighting of the lamps. Christ, Alpha and Omega, like unto the Son of Man, is like the high priest. He's lighting the lamps of what? The 7 ecclesia, the 7 churches. So then we learn the interpretation of the 7 lamps, 7 menorahs. They are the 7 churches, the 7 ecclesia. Verse 20, the mystery of the 7 stars, which you saw on the right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks, or 7 menorahs, okay? The 7 menorahs which you saw are the 7 ecclesia. Okay, so now we can see that the menorah and what the high priest has done all those years are the 7 ecclesia. Okay, so now we see that's in the beginning of the service. We have the high priest garments, Christ coming in the garments down to the foot, and the paps golden girdle. Okay, these are the garments of the high priest. All right, so then what we go is we begin to see, again, a repeat of the 7 golden menorahs in chapter 2, verse 1. And next, we're going to go quickly into all of these guys, but once we get to Philadelphia, we get more of the temple shown to the church of Philadelphia. These things says, he that is holy and true, that has the key of David. He that opens and no man shuts, and shuts and no man opens. I know your works. I have set before you an open door, right? I've set before you an open door. Okay, so the key must open the door. So what's the key? The key is the nail. Okay, the nail is the key of David, key to the house of David. So the key opens the door. Okay, the key will open the door, and the door is to what? The temple, right? Okay, there we can see the key of David. This is part of the temple service. In the beginning, you would have porters that would open the doors for the proceedings to continue. Okay, so we have the key of David, we have the open door, and then he promises them, to him that overcomes, I will make a pillar in the temple of my God. Okay, now, when it's saying temple, this is also in reference to the whole temple complex. So in Ezekiel's temple, there's many pillars. We'll show you that in a little bit later. But there you can see, to he that overcomes, I'll make you a pillar. So what this means is that just like you saw the 7 menorahs were the 7 ecclesia, is people. Okay, the menorahs are people. You can see pillars, okay, part of the building is also people. All right? So, and you know, this is the invitation. Chapter 3, verse, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and sup with him, and he with me. Where do they sup? Okay, they sup in the north and south chambers, the porch of the pillars. Okay, that space that we showed you over there. All right, so clearly all of this relates to, the priests. They would eat the meals, okay, after the temple service. We also see in Philadelphia, New Jerusalem. I will write upon him the name of my God and the name of the city of God, which is New Jerusalem, coming down from heaven, okay? And my new name, or their new name, okay? So they would have to have a new name. It's going into the foreshadowing of New Jerusalem. And once we get into the throne, okay, now we get into the throne in chapter 4. When we get into the throne, again, we have a trumpet, a voice of a trumpet, beginning another temple service, okay? So then the temple service takes place. Then John sees 24 elders sitting on 24 thrones. Okay, this is the house of David. So just as we showed you before, the key of David, the house of David is the temple. Okay, in the temple there are 24 priests that are main priests that are part of the judges, and you can see them. They have the golden censer. Okay, golden censer. Here's our golden censer. Okay, they have a golden censer in one hand and a harp, a kitara, in the other hand. Okay, and we showed you our instruments before. Okay, so what is this? This is the beginning of the service of the golden censer. All right, so what do? They offer worship. They offer the prayers of the saints. All right, and they sing a new song unto the Lamb. So always in the temple service, you have the golden altars, you got the prayers of the saints and the harps of God, and there is singing. And they sing what? A new song. So always in the temple service, there are particular songs to be sung. And there you can see in Revelation 5, verses 9 and 10. Okay, so we have the harps of God, we have the golden veils, we have the 24 elders, and then we go to chapter 6 and verse 5, and he that opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I saw a black horse, and he that sat upon him had a pair of scales, right? So he that sat upon him had a pair of scales. And what is the scales? Okay, what is part of the temple service? Well, they would be the offerings. So in the offerings, you can see that he talks about the coin and the amount of wheat. So I'll show you our amount of wheat. So he's measuring the offering. He's measuring the harvest, okay? So he does that on what? The scales. So he measures the harvest. He measures the barley harvest. He measures the wheat harvest, right? He measures them with what? A coin. What is the coin? The coin is the shekel of the sanctuary, okay? So the shekel of the sanctuary is a holy coin. Okay, here's our shekel of the sanctuary. So it doesn't matter. Everybody is weighed by the same coin. It's called the shekel of the sanctuary. That's how you weigh the harvest, okay? Doesn't matter how many measures of the harvest. Doesn't matter if it's barley or wheat. It's all by Christ's redemption, okay? And his redemption is through something called a redemption coin called the shekel of the sanctuary. So that's what we're seeing with the black horse. I know there's many different views and opinions of all this stuff, guys, but it's clearly, as you can see, a temple service. What he's doing, he is weighing the harvest, okay? And in the temple service, what you would do, okay, you would take the harvest, okay, it would be weighed, all right? It will be weighed, it will be measured. Now, later on in Revelation, the bowls, you'll see the bowls later on in Revelation, and the angels have the bowls, and what do? They pour the bowls out, okay? They pour out the contents of the bowls. Again, like an offering. You have these bowls. The bowls weigh the harvest, but the bowls also have the 7 last plagues that are poured out upon the earth. Okay, so our scales, that was the third seal, right? Okay, so we saw the third seal. We saw the scales. Then we get to the fifth seal, and I saw under the altar the souls of them that cried, that were slain for the word of God and the testimony which they held, and they cried with a loud voice, How long, O Lord, O holy and true, does you not just avenge our blood to them that dwell upon the earth? And white robes were given to every one of them, as it was said to them. It was said to them that they should rest for a little season until their fellow servants and their brethren that they should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. The number is fulfilled. Okay, what is that? That's the fifth seal. And what is that? That is the altar. Okay, so we showed you the space there. That's the altar. So the altar in the inner court. Okay, there's people crying out from that altar, from that altar. So here you can see once again these the scales, the altar, okay, being introduced, being dedicated, being known. What is the meaning of these things, okay? All the time, you know, the whole book has led up to this, okay? But now we can see what is the meaning. Now, once we get to the sixth seal, we see the throne of the Lamb. Hide us from the face of him that sits upon the throne and the wrath of the Lamb, okay? So it's the Lamb upon the throne that is coming. He's coming soon. He's coming in the clouds, all right? And when he does, he has everything in order. There are 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, lion, ox, man, eagle, holding the 4 winds of the earth. These are the wheels. All right. And another angel coming from the east sun, having the seal of the living God. Okay. Then we get, as we continue, we see the great multitude. We see the songs in heaven. All right. Now let's go to verse 15. And therefore they are before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his what? Temple. And he that sits on the throne shall dwell among them. In what? The temple. What temple? All right, it's the temple in heaven, of course, that we can see consistently, but we consider it Ezekiel's temple. Why? Well, we're going to get to this later, but when we get to Revelation, chapter 21 and 22, they deal with New Jerusalem. And we see New Jerusalem, verse 22, of chapter 21, I saw no temple therein. For the Lord our God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple. Okay, so what is this temple? If it's not New Jerusalem, what is it? It's Ezekiel's temple. And they shall hunger no more, no thirst no more, and for the light, neither shall the light on them, nor any heat, for the Lamb that is in the midst of the throne shall feed them. The Lamb in the midst of the throne. So you can see the space. Okay, the throne, the temple, you can see it's talking about the temple. He will feed them. Where? In that space, the north chambers, the south chambers, okay, is the place where the priests would eat their meals, okay? And the Lamb which is in the midst of them will feed them and lead them into the living fountains of waters. I don't know if you noticed before, but that's where our sink is in our temple of our fountains of living waters. Okay, God wiped away their tears from their eyes. So, clearly, this is a temple. Ezekiel's temple has a river of life coming out of it, from out of the house, heading towards the east. Okay, so that's why with all of this, we have all the design elements of Ezekiel's temple. It says clearly, repeatedly, okay, that there's a throne, that there's a temple. All right, so it must be Ezekiel's temple. So as we continue, all right, we saw the seals. Now that's the sixth seal there. Then we begin to transition into the trumpets. We transition into the trumpets, okay? And we have something, we're not getting into all the feasts here, okay? Not all the feasts. All the feasts is intertwined in all this as well. We're just not doing that in this video. But obviously, we have Revelation chapter 8, and we have a scene like that of Yom Kippur. So what we have is the angel had a golden censer. And what does he do? He takes, you saw our altar there. Okay, he takes the coals from the altar. He takes coals from the altar into a golden censer that he will offer incense. So there's incense in there. The coal goes in the incense. It creates a smoke. Okay, when it creates a smoke, it says the angel takes a golden censer. He takes the incense and much smoke and brings it before God. All right, so he brings it before God. This is reenacting Yom Kippur. Okay, and the Yom Kippur high priest would do the same thing. You go in the Holy Holies. Here's our Ark of the Covenant. He will offer the incense before the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, so what we have here is a scene like Yom Kippur taking place. Okay, difference being, all right, this Yom Kippur, what's doing, it's ushering in, it's transitioning from those seals that we saw into the trumpets. Because then what happens is the angel then takes the coals that was in the golden censer and he pours them to the earth. Okay? When he pours them to the earth, this triggers the first trumpet. Okay? So thus, after this Yom Kippur must start, okay, ushering the trumpets on precisely Yom Kippur. So this is Yom Kippur. This is exactly when, okay, let's jump ahead. We're gonna come back and explain some things, but sometimes Book of Revelation, guys, if you go chapter by chapter, it's not all, it's like a movie. Some scenes correspond. So you can see that the trumpets blow on Yom Kippur, clearly from Revelation 8, right? All right. Well, let's jump ahead to Revelation 11, because it's the same moment. It's the same scene, okay? So when the angel is taking the golden censer, is taking it before the Ark of the Covenant, he's doing this Yom Kippur. We see the temple was open in heaven in Revelation 11:19. And there was seen in the temple the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark of the Testament. Now, we can see, guys, we have a whole video on this. We're not going to explain it quickly, but the Ark of the Covenant there is Moses, the Ark of the Covenant Moses made in Mount Sinai. That is in heaven, yes. Okay? Even now, that's our view, that Ark of the Covenant is not in the earth. You can talk about it, and it's going to do this and do. It's not coming out. It's not coming. It's in heaven. Okay? That's what it says. And that's proof in Jeremiah. Why is the Ark of the Covenant gone? It's not in Ezekiel's temple. Why? His throne is there. Okay? And most of the things that are associated with Yom Kippur are completed. They're completed right here in Revelation. So that's why you don't need the Ark of the Covenant. That's why the Yom Kippur, okay, was what came as a result, guys, of the children of Israel, their sin. Okay? Their sin and the intercession Moses did brought on Yom Kippur. All right? And then it was limited. It was the high priest was going to come more to but no, it was limited to one day a year, and it was limited because the golden calf. Okay? So once he had the golden calf, now he can't come all the time. He can only come once a year. Thus, the Ark of the Covenant, now, you can come now in the Ezekiel temple more often, so there's no Ark of the Covenant. You can see in Revelation 11:19, it is taken to heaven. Okay, now, there we can see clearly the proceedings of a temple service, one which we know being Yom Kippur in his censer, poured to the earth. We get the 7 trumpets. We get to the 6th trumpet. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice of the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God. Okay? And the angel sounded, which I heard the voice of the whole, and the 6th angel sounded the trumpet and loosed the 4 angels. Okay? So now the 4 angels relate to the golden censer. Okay? The golden censer. In the golden censer, you would have 4 horns on the golden altar. Excuse me. This is the golden censer here. This is the golden altar. All right. Now the golden altar would be in the holy place. All right. And then this is where we would get the incense. You put it in the golden censer and you bring it to the Holy Holies. All right. But the golden censer also has 4 horns on it. As you can see, those 4 horns are the 4 army captains. Okay. You can see that in Zechariah chapter 1. All right. So what's happening here is we can see that the golden censer is there. It's coming into play as part of the temple service where the incense is being offered. Okay. And what is happening? The census, the counting of the people is taking place with the coin. Remember, we saw the coin before when it counted the harvest with the scales. Okay. Now it's counting with the same coin. It's counting the people in the army, just like the children of Israel in the Exodus. They formed an army with the same coin. That's what's happening. Okay. That's the 6th trumpet. So that's part of the temple service. Thus, the regular service where you would do the incense. So that incense offering is memorializing the time when the great harvest would take place. All right. Now now that we can see the 4 horns of the golden altar are the 4 army captains ordering the military lion, ox, man, eagle. Okay. And of course, Revelation 11 verse 1, and there was given to me a reed like unto rod, and the angel stood, measure the temple. Okay, we've been saying this over and over, measure the temple. All right, so measure the temple and the altar. All right, that's what everything we're doing. We're showing you this whole place is measuring the temple and the altar and those that worship therein or worship therein. The temple of God is open already, guys, to worship therein. If you believe the testimony of what we're sharing, you will understand it. You will see it. Okay. So what is taking place right here is Hanukkah. It is the dedication of the temple. It is the opening of the temple. It is Hanukkah. And we know it's precisely Hanukkah because this will begin the 1,260 days of the 2 witnesses leading to the 7th angel. Okay. The 1,335 days begins when? Hanukkah. It was given me read like draw. Measure the temple and the altar. Okay, very important. We measured that by looking at Ezekiel's temple. Those are the measurements, all right? So there we can see the temple. Once again, we saw in Revelation 11:19, we saw the Ark of the Covenant, all right? Then we get to Revelation 12. We have the Revelation 12 sign in the heavens, right? All right, good. Then it says, the place prepared, O God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. This is leading to the first day of the first month when the tabernacle was set up by Moses. Lots of other videos. Hopefully you're following and you understand what we're talking about. We got to move quickly. That tabernacle that was set up there in Revelation 12, okay, we see it in Revelation 13, verse 6. In the Antichrist, he will open his mouth and blaspheme against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. So there's people dwelling in heaven in the tabernacle by the time of the Antichrist, okay? So, again, what do we have? The tabernacle, okay? We have the tabernacle. We have the temple. And let's see. Okay, good. Now, let's continue into Revelation 14. And I looked, the Lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having the Father's name and the name of him on their foreheads. And I heard the voice of heaven and the voice of many waters, the voice of a great thunder, and I heard the voice of harpers. In Greek, this is kithara odes, okay? And that means they're playing the harps and singing. Now, okay, in our inner court, as you can see, this is the inner court. This is the place where the altar is. And these boxes here represent the chambers of the singers, or the chambers of the singers and the harpers, okay? And then there are other chambers for those that administer at the altar. So let's look at Ezekiel's temple layout. Where you can see this is our inner court. Here is our altar. Chambers of the singers. Okay, chambers of the priests administering at the altar. So they're here, chambers of the singers here and here. Here is the temple, around the temple. This is what we're explaining, is that there are chambers around the temple. Then we have the north chamber and south chamber. What these are the porch of the pillar, okay, the place for the feast, okay, the eating, the place where the priests will eat, okay. That's one on this side, you see the pillars. One on this side, you see the pillars. And then you have the king's house. Okay, king's house, king's palace. But then the temple proper is here. And here is the inner court. Okay, so that's the chambers of the singers, okay, part of Ezekiel's temple in the inner court. You can see all of this is the temple, and they sang us a new song before the throne. Now, this is before the throne. This isn't actually Mount Zion in Jerusalem. This is before the throne, very, very clearly, and this is in heaven, okay? Now, once we get to this scene right here, the activity around the temple increases, okay? It begins to increase. We have more activity of the angels of the Lord himself from the throne. All right, let's look at them. Let's go to verse 15. And the angel, okay, so we had an angel on the cloud like the Son of Man with a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat upon the cloud, thrust your sickle, for the harvest is ripe, for the time or hour is come to reap the harvest. For the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust his sickle in the earth, and the earth was reaped. Okay. Then we have another angel. So you can see there was an angel came out of the temple that said, thrust your sickle. Then we have another angel coming out of the temple with a sickle. Okay. 2 angels, 2 sickles, 2 harvests. Another angel came out of the altar. Remember, we saw our altar. Which had power over the fire, and cried with a loud voice to him that had the sharp sickle, thrust your sickle and gather the cluster of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. Now, we showed you before how we had the wine press, okay? We showed you the wine press. Well, here's the wine press right here. And the angel thrust his sickle to the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and cast it into the great wine press of the wrath of God. Okay, so there's the wine press. You can see everything is here, guys. Amazing. Then what we get to is Revelation chapter 15. We get to Revelation chapter 15. We get the angels pouring out the bowl judgments, okay? And we get the scene again with the tabernacle set up on the first day of the first month. The tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was open. That relates to Exodus 40 when Moses set up the tabernacle on the first day of the first month and he was not able to enter it because of the glory cloud, okay? So then we get to more activities in the temple. Revelation 61, and I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, pour out your bowls for the wrath of God onto the earth. Okay, so who's the voice out of the temple? It's a great voice out of the temple. Well, we can see it here in verse 17. And the 7th angel poured out his oil in the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple. So if this is the same voice in verse 1 as verse 17, it's from the throne. The great voice out of the temple from the throne saying, it is done. Okay? So now we conclude that this is Alpha and Omega. This is his voice, his great voice from the temple. He's seated in the throne in the temple, issuing this statement, it is done. Okay. So there we can see all the activities and why we do all this over and over. There's so much confusion of all these things, but there is an Ezekiel temple. That's what we're showing you over and over, the temple that is in heaven. Okay, it is Ezekiel's temple, has those design elements, also has design elements of Moses' tabernacle, and they went up in the breast of the earth, and they compassed the camp of the saints and the beloved city. So once we get to the millennium, that's Revelation 20. Okay, Revelation 21, 22 is New Jerusalem, but Revelation 20 is Ezekiel's temple. And what you have is a clear distinction. There went up the breadth of the earth. This is his kingdom, India to Ethiopia, encompassed the camp of the saints. Camp of the saints is the 12 tribes of the children of Israel in the promised land. And the beloved city, that's Jerusalem. In Jerusalem will be the Ezekiel temple. Okay, so that's what it's talking about there in Revelation 20. Then we get the tabernacle, as we said, 21:3, and I heard the great voice of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle God is men, he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and they will be his God, he themselves be his God. Okay, so then we get to 22, there's no temple there in New Jerusalem, okay? So the temple that we saw before, the temple in heaven, the temple that the people are serving in, is Ezekiel's temple. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the space, and I do encourage you to follow the series of playlists on Show the Design, Measure the Pattern. These are the kings and priests of the House of David order in the Millennial Temple. Okay? We have many videos. We'll have links in the description field. Fear God. Give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him that made the heavens, the earth, the seas, and the fountains of waters. Amen.